It's nice and early.
Well, hello, beautiful, beautiful, powerful listeners. Welcome to another episode of Powerful Inc. Startup Stories. Today I'm joined by Shaina Quick, a beautiful, heart-centered, like inspirational and soft leader in the online space, helping you develop your leadership skills, helping you develop healthy habits, strengthening your relationship with God if you're a believer, and building a network of, like-minded, like-hearted women so that we can actualize our dreams, so that we can really serve in the way that we're meant to and find that purpose and, not have it hard or be easy and learn about ourselves as we go and expand ourselves and our faith and our fitness, if you will, like our fitness to be who we're meant to be. And so I'm so excited to have you here, Shaina. I've loved hanging out in your space since we first connected. And already, you guys, because of her, I started a new habit tracker called the Sacred 60 Challenge. And it is pulling on pieces of me and bringing new strength and like refreshed energy. And as a list checker offer, this is a completely, yeah, right. We all know that. Power through. But this is like a completely different energy that I'm so enjoying. And before I hand it over to you, Shaina, I'll share with you too that while I was on my Mexican vacation with six of my best friends, my two roommates were encouraging me and holding me uncomfortably accountable to making sure I got things done on the list. It was so
Oh my
sweet.
gosh.
It was so supportive. So it's just like, it's just been this totally different experience of desire to do it, desire to, become the woman who has these daily habits, who is committed to the vision she shares on social media, blah blah. Like it's deepening and increasing the reality of it, right? It's been so great.
Hmm.
Yeah, so thanks for bringing me into that.
I love that. That makes me so happy for you, friend. That's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, super. So welcome to the show, Shaina. Why don't you just open up with telling us who you serve, what you do, and why you love it, and then we'll just converse away.
Ooh, okay. Well, I'm Shaina. Just so you're all aware, I am a busy mama to two little ones. My oldest is about to turn 5, and the youngest is 2. And God's definitely had me walking through a few different seasons in this journey. But as of right now, where He has me right now, I am delightfully serving women that are interested in growth. They want
Mhm,
to grow themselves, whether it is personally, they know that there's habits and routines that they want to strengthen. They want to grow for their household to be the best wife they can be, the best mom they can be, just their best self. I'm also on that journey right alongside them.
yeah.
Um, and those women, I'm serving them right now because I am so connected to them. I am so in the thick of it. We're linking arms. It's not so much um, that I'm 18 steps ahead and kind of like trying to pull you by the teeth to
Mhm,
to get to where you want to be, but I'm like,
mhm,
hey, I literally just stepped on that stone, so let me hold your hand and help you cross that too, and we're going
mhm,
to take these step by step and grow together. And I'm loving being in this space. I'm absolutely loving it because it gives us the opportunity to learn from each other.
yeah.
You know, you mentioned that since you've been in my space, you've been so inspired and delighted. And hearing you speak even about the Sacred 60 inspires me.
Mm,
And I love that because I love your heart for it and the approach you're taking to it. I'm also a list checker. I
mhm,
love checking off a to-do list.
yeah,
And the Sacred 60 is different. You have
yeah.
to have a different heart posture for it. You have to have this position of I'm so ready to grow in this
Mhm,
area. And that's taken me some work and some shift to say, okay, like I'm doing this um, to better myself because that's where God wants me to be,
mhm,
not because I'm not doing these items through this challenge to check it off and say
mhm.
it's done. So I thank you for inspiring me in that way as well.
Oh, did you guys hear this? This is so beautiful and so normalizing when we're starting out or wherever we are in our business that we don't have to be more than what we are, first of all. And, Shayna, you so perfectly touched on my heart and so many of the listeners that we're doing this together, right? So I love building a collaboration, a
Mhm.
collaborapreneurship movement where no, I haven't made my millions yet, but I'm on my way. Do you want to come with me? And
Mhm.
in this way, we can complement and infill each other's skill sets so that we're creating a greater benefit of service to each other as business owners and to clients, potential others. I don't necessarily like the word clients, but other, people seeking what they're seeking, that we can serve them through our collective because we're
Mhm.
growing together, and then that helps us share our message for others who are looking for, maybe one of the skill sets. And when we create a greater network for ourselves, we can serve in a more powerful way too, because it's not all up to you. I mean, if you're partnered with God, you've got that behind you, which is all you need. But then you gather people on the ground to help support your action. And that is what, from where I'm hanging out and who I'm following on online space, is a very different energy to building a business where it's like, look at me, I've done this, follow these steps and copy paste, where it's like, here's how I'm trying to approach it and what I've learned so far and what skills I have. Would you like to come along with me? And let's see what more we can create. I know I um, perform or drop in to that supernatural space so much better when I'm with somebody than if I'm trying to record this podcast by myself. Like I just it's yeah, I get choked up with the words, but if I
Yeah,
got somebody there, it's a nice exchange.
absolutely, absolutely, and it's so much easier to do life and business and even like something like this when you are working in connection and in collaboration with people who share your values and who are
Mhm,
in alignment with you, because then Holy Spirit can just flow, right?
mhm.
You can bounce ideas off each other without getting concerned about comparison
Or
or
competition.
without
Yeah,
competition,
yeah,
judgment.
yeah,
Like, oh, I don't want to share this idea because I don't know how they're going to respond. No, I'm going to
yeah.
share this idea because I need to know um, what their thoughts are. I genuinely want to know their thoughts because they're also led by the Holy Spirit. And, maybe there's a chance that God will use them to speak to me
Mhm.
about the direction I'm heading. So there's just this whole different energy around getting into collaborations and conversations with those people that share your values and are in alignment with you so that you can continue to move forward.
Yeah, and it opens doors and helps you also practice the skills of where you are and get to know your messaging and get to know more about your values. Like we might sit down, we as in the general self, and write about our values and try and identify that as a company or even as a woman,
Mhm.
but then they get tested when you're actually out in the real world or going to market with it. And when you start to network with more people, you can test that and see where your discernment is and see where your clarity is, and then fine tune and fine tune. And I'm going through this right now. I was journaling last night and I realize I'm still holding like my healer self and my teacher self in separate hands. And,
Mhm.
it's time to really start solidifying that message as a unified message of the service that's in me. And that wouldn't have happened if I had kept trying to truck along on my own. Like I even have a sticky on my computer that separates them into two bulleted lists. And that was for my own clarity, when I put that up there 6 months ago. But now I can further soften and surrender into putting them all together because I've been able to start showing up more in that way, practicing, engaging in people in that way, while also accepting that that's the true part of how I'm meant to serve, instead of
Hmm.
feeling like they need to be these two different pieces. So, um, and then the feedback that you get when you're sharing that with people gives you clues too, right? And helps you
Hmm.
follow like the path that you're meant to follow if you're paying attention. And it's like you don't pay attention overnight. None of this happens overnight.
Yeah.
Let's be
Yeah.
clear, right? Like we're all
And I love how you put that. I love that you're kind of in this space of figuring out what blending those two parts of you together looks like and how you're meant to serve and how you're designed. I've my background, I have a degree in psychology and a
Mhm,
degree in accounting. They are two
mhm.
vastly different
Yeah.
fields, right? And when I started my business, I started as a bookkeeper because I had the accounting background, added some additional services. And then, like, when I added social media support, people are like, how are you creating graphics and content, but you're
Mhm,
also like doing bookkeeping? And
mhm,
then I went into coaching, and I am designed as an encourager and empower. My two spiritual giftings I learned later on after starting my business and after going to college are exhortation and administration.
mhm.
Once I learned those two things, I was like, everything makes so much
Yeah.
sense. Of course, I would have a degree in psychology and learning how people work and how we're wired so I can encourage them the way that they
Mhm,
need to be encouraged and help them change in the way that they're going to be able to make those changes. And also in administration, where I'm helping with all of these admin tasks, and it all just kind of
mhm,
came together. But
mhm.
you have to be open and willing to hear that it's okay to have like vastly different interests because that's how God designed you.
Yeah,
And there is a way He is bringing it all like full circle and that they'll all blend together beautifully to be able to
yeah,
support the people you're called to support.
yeah,
Um, but you have to be willing to kind of let go of the reins and be like, it's not black and white either or, it's and both. And
yeah,
that's perfect.
yeah. Yeah, and that's a huge piece of, starting to infuse that momentum in your business and really get the wheels churning because then you're not it's coming very internally, very, like you said, from Holy Spirit or supernatural, where it flows rather than trying to fit into an external mold,
Mm-hmm.
right? And these dual gifts that you have, encouragement and administration, come together so beautifully to serve others. Because if you're starting out a business, you definitely need encouragement. It's lonely, it's long, it feels like crickets, it takes, however time it takes, and it seems like everybody else is doing better. And you also need administration so that in those pieces of time, while your life is, evolving into something else, you're doing the right kind of work and that you
Mm-hmm.
have a business that supports you to do that work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, linking arms is a phrase I use often as we're links in the chain and we're all, connecting to each other and helping along.
Yeah.
And my chain's connected to women who are making, I think one said, oh gosh, she makes like $500,000 a month or something.
Wow, good for her. That's amazing.
But I mean, she's something else, and I don't anyway, but, if my chain's connected to that, then your chain's connected to that, and her chain's connected to that, and we're all in it, and we're all, helping each other get to whatever goalposts we wanna get to, so,
Mhm.
um, you know, how do you find people in the online space then? Like, where are you hanging out, or what are you seeing? What are trends that you're seeing that you want to help kind of smash apart like I do?
Oh, goodness. I think one that we agree on a lot is, just the idea of not being this overnight success, right? But I've picked up on something that I do think we should address as well during this conversation, which is the reality that, like, someone who makes six figures a month,
Mhm,
um, or someone who's making $1 million a year. Like that doesn't have to be your goalpost if
Mhm.
that's not where God's taking you, if that's not your
Yeah.
heart's desire, right? So like for me, for instance, God has not given me any desire to create $1 million business.
Mhm.
If I do, fantastic, but that's not what I'm working towards. And that's okay. Like when I first got started in business and I started consuming from coaches, the goal was like always set that financial mile marker, that financial
Yeah.
pillar you want to hit. And it's
Yeah.
usually when we start out that 10 figure or that $10,000 a month,
Yeah.
right? You want to make
Yeah.
10K months or 5K months. Um, and that actually, I think, hindered me a bit
Yeah.
because my actions then were in pursuit of that, not in pursuit of what God was asking me to do.
Yeah.
I wasn't actually partnering with him in that and saying, God, what are you saying I'm pursuing? I'm just going to pursue this number that's been given to me by the industry um,
Mhm.
in the online space. And when I did actually take the time to sit down with him and be like, okay, what does this look like? Financial goals weren't even in the picture.
Yeah.
It's like I want to go, I want to make an impact, I want to serve, I want to love on people. He gave me a number of people to serve and
Mhm.
I could pursue that. He's like, go
Mhm.
serve. Like one year, it was like 58 people that year. He's like, go do that.
Mhm.
The money will come. He has proven time and time again that my finances are covered by him,
Mhm. Yeah.
regardless of how small my bank account may look at
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Everything I've had as far as expenses in my business and things he's asking me to do has always been covered, always comes through. So if you do, I'm no, I'm not saying if you have goals and dreams for million plus
Of
years, by
course.
all means pursue them. I work with one really beautiful soul that she makes significantly more than me, but she
Mhm.
still loves my support because that's how I was designed and she
Yeah.
needs that in her life.
Yeah.
And I love being able to encourage her in that. I am not jealous of that. I am not in competition with that. She's been so gifted in her area of expertise that I get to just cheer her on. And I know
You're
I've been really gifted in my area of expertise. So I can still support her. I can support others. And they're going to need exactly what I have.
so
Nobody else is looking at your bank account.
it was so beautifully and so peacefully shared from a genuine place of acceptance and confidence in what is your path. And 1,000,000%, let us not be defined or strive or hustle towards these sensational revenue markers. Let us just create, a comfortable living, because online business doesn't have to be this multi-million generating industry. And where and why did it lead that way into this sort of very masculine achiever, badge of honor type of positioning? Money flows, money's beautiful and fun to play with. It's not meant just for you. So if you're going to be making that kind of money, you better be giving it back somewhere,
Yeah.
right? Because what are you going to
Yes.
hoard it all for? It's not for
Yes.
you. It's in order to return and influence and create abundance for others.
Mhm.
And absolutely, you can have clients who are making more than you, but that doesn't impact, diminish, or reduce anything about your purpose and your gifts and your heart of service that is like incredibly releasing. And so, new business owners who are listening to this incredibly powerful conversation, find the amount, find, you know, the daily bread to take care of you, and don't worry about the rest. And if more comes, then that's part of the bigger plan, but it's not of your concern. And be at
Mhm.
peace. And the way that you said that was just so incredibly beautiful and um, freeing, right? That there isn't some big striving or some big push or any egoistic need to prove yourself as an entrepreneur, to prove yourself as a capable person. It's just to serve in exchange with others. And I love that
Mhm.
so much. And I'm going to add to that too that it's okay to be a robust and busy, like healthy, busy entrepreneur and still have a job and still do something else and still, whatever else. That we don't have to just be the coach who works 4 hours a week and makes, $500,000 a day and lives on the beach the rest of the time. You are
Mhm.
designing your life for you. And when you're new, it can be especially Las Vegas-y to, oh, what is this gonna look like? Which is why spending that quiet time with yourself is super important. Building good habits, good foundations at the beginning, super important. Otherwise, you're gonna, like, honestly, go off path, AKA waste a bunch of time, been there, done that, really, really more committed to not doing that as much, because I'm not gonna say at all as much, I'm human, um, and finding peace as you go, letting go of pressure,
Mhm.
finding peace as you go, and um, yeah, listening to what your path is, because we're not all meant for the same path at all. We're not all going to be Oprah. We're not all going to be Princess Diana or Mother Teresa, right? But that doesn't reduce or diminish in any single way where we are a critical link in the chain, because without us, the whole
Mhm.
thing breaks.
Yes. Yes. And I think it is important and relevant to address the fact that it's not easy to start there. And
Mhm,
sometimes you may like start just to start because taking action is so critical and so important. And you kind of figure it out as you go, but it's so important to leverage grace. One thing I love to
mhm,
remind others of is God already knows what you're going to get done for the day. So if you don't get everything on your list done, like He already knew that was going to happen. So who are we to not give ourselves grace when
mhm,
God gives us so much more? Like
mhm.
if He gives us so much, where is our grace for ourselves? Because we do love to just be in constant motion,
Yeah.
right? We always want to be moving the needle. But if you're not moving the needle in the right direction, then it's going to take you even longer whenever God finally like He corrects your path, because that's what He does, like, right? He'll just like, no, no, I didn't want you to go that way. And I think that's what happened for me, right? It's like I just started a business to run and I had these ambitions, and it took me some time to figure out how to partner with God in that and
Mhm,
get to this place I am now where nothing metrically matters as much as, am I doing what God's asked me to do?
mhm.
Is my cup full? Am I enjoying it? And as long as that's the case, then I'm going to keep running the race.
So let's take people into what that means, because I can physically, tangibly describe what that experience has been for me, and I want listeners to know. So I'll share my version, my story, and then I'd love to hear yours so that people can really understand, what does that mean? Because if you're a believer, and it takes time to understand. I came to God in the spring, so I'm like, I'm fully in a new relationship here, still totally figuring it out. Haven't read through the whole Bible, guys. Like, a lot going on, just to, normalize. Like, oh, what does that mean? You're a Christian now.
Yeah.
It just means I'm exploring a new spirituality and a new path. And quick side note, I love it because it's so structured. So obviously, like, that's my jam. But to flow in the supernatural, to flow through Holy Spirit, to me has meant like this, has been I work full time, I have kids, I have a life, I do the things. And then I was online business manager, and it was busy, 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 busy. Like you're constantly in the day-to-day weeds with people. And so when I was living in that version, and that thought, or that that stage of like, this is what I'm meant to do because I love organizing and I love supporting creative CEOs. It was all consuming and it was all external giving. And then I just couldn't sustain it, right? I ran out of steam and I got a download and a shift to rebrand into Powerful Ink. And that just, even that alone opened up space internally to relax in how I thought I was meant to serve. So, like you were saying about, the client has makes more than you, but needs you as you are, it allowed me to release more into who I am and show up in a different way that isn't just about outpouring. It's also about taking care of self and being more aligned, which then, you guys, makes it easier to do things. And what's so funny is how I thought I was so busy and run off my feet in the previous setup. I now, it's so ironic and so incredibly true. I'm doing so much more and it is so much easier. You talk about getting stuff done in a day. Like I'm producing a coaching program, I'm producing podcasts, I'm doing email marketing, I'm in bundles, I'm running Facebook groups, I'm networking, I'm, introducing people to each other, I'm increasing my visibility and I'm working full time and I'm, like my evenings now are family time. So
Hmm.
I know that the morning block is when I get my things done. Maybe I fit some things in through the day because I have a phone, so business is easy and I'm organized. So business is easy, hint, hint. Plug.
Yeah.
And then the evenings are so spacious, right? And it's just
Hmm.
this is what flow is like. And it's not necessarily like a waterfall rush all day, every day, but it's a sustainable, a continuous enjoyment of service, of meaning, of levity, because if I'm not laughing, I'm dying. I get refused to not laugh. Sure, I can't anyway. It's a joke in our house about how I laugh at everything. But it's so much more peaceful, right? And that's what unlocking it has been for me. So, you know, that's one example. And now share yours so people can really understand we're not doing any magic tricks here. We're just kind of like softening into
Hmm.
what needs to soften into, which then produces more.
Yeah. As I was listening to your story and this journey that you've been on, it really brought up for me how mine has been a lot of, I don't want to say trial and error, but trial and adjustments.
Mhm,
Because when I started my business, I was still working in a corporate setting, and I had just gotten pregnant with our second. So I was going through the process of the whole 9 months of pregnancy and trying to grow a business and
mhm,
working full time.
mhm. And having a baby
Yeah,
also. Yeah, how many
yeah.
years apart are they? Like 2 years apart? Yeah.
They are, yeah, about two and a half.
Mhm,
And so we had a toddler at home too. Yes.
yeah. Mhm,
Um, Tons of fun.
mhm,
Lots of opportunity for high stress,
mhm,
right? Limited hours,
mhm,
feeling high strung, trying to
mhm,
get all the things done. And I was there for a bit, right? I was there for probably the first 6 months of my business or so until I realized that there was going to be a different way. There had to be a different way. And I could partner with God and start praying over God, what do you see for this business? Where do you want me to take it? And at that time, he was like, you're going to grow something significantly larger than where he's like, I just let you start there because that
mhm,
was where I needed you to start somewhere. So I let you start there, but that's not where you're staying. And so he actually gave me this much bigger vision at that time, which obviously was going to require more. But we never know what God's plan is for our life, like overall, right? We just kind of know where we are and kind of where he's pointing us. And we take steps in faith that things are going to work out for our good and they're going to work out great. And we just have to trust. And sometimes that's easier said than done. I will just sidebar that. Um, But for me, after I got laid off from corporate, then that alleviated that stressor, right? But now I was in this season and situation where I was trying to figure out how to navigate running a business with a newborn at home and a
Yeah.
toddler at home
Yeah.
and a husband that was working full time out of the house to make sure that we were sustained and our family was taken care of and all the things. And that presented its own set of challenges where there was a trial of, okay, how do I operate the way God's calling me to and kind of get these things done, but in a way that feels good. And I can alleviate the stress of business because I've got enough stress at home with
Mhm.
little tiny babies, right? We're never guaranteed that life is going to be stress free.
Mhm.
But the more we pursue God's direction for us, the more peaceful it can be.
Yeah.
And after I kind of figured out how to navigate that season, I'm very structured and organized like you. And I was so used to my corporate setting. So if you're still in a corporate job, this may be you too, in that I was very much used to having a structure for my
Mhm.
day. Like
Mhm.
this is the hours I work. I work, 9 to 5, 8 to 4, whatever that looked like. And you can't exactly have that structure when you have a newborn.
Yeah.
They kind of run the show. You don't get to set the clock. They're hungry when they're hungry. They need diaper changes, all the things. Um, and so for a while there too, I was in communication with my husband around what can my work hours be?
Mhm.
I need set work hours so that I can get this work done and I can operate in what God's asked me to do. And I think I internally fought that for a long time. Eventually I got to this place where I'm like, okay, like I'm just going to have to say, like, these are the things I need to get done for the day.
Mhm.
God, show me and highlight the opportunities I have to actually do some of those things. Again, when you do business from your phone, it's pretty easy, right?
Mhm.
I don't know that easy is the right word. It's simple. It can be like simple if
It's
you let
more
it, right?
portable,
But
right? It's more
yes,
portable
it's
and
more
readily
accessible.
accessible. Yeah, jinx.
Yes. So you have the opportunity to you have to make the mental decision. I'm gonna take action right now because this is the time I have. And you're gonna feel fulfilled for that. You're gonna feel really proud of yourself and good. Sometimes it's hard to I like to say the hardest part of anything is making the decision to actually do it. Because once you make the decision, either your actions are going to support that or your actions are going to say, no, you made a different decision, didn't you? You watched Netflix today, didn't you? That was your decision. You didn't pick up your phone to do your work. You picked up your remote and that was your decision. So the hardest part is making the decision and committing to that. Um, but I've gotten to this place now and it's beautiful, this journey God's taken me on of learning how to kind of release those areas of control
Mhm.
to his guidance and to his will. Because now, like, with the help too of Sacred 60, like I've been able to create miniature routines for
Yeah,
my day,
yeah.
and they're not tied to
A
the
time
clock.
slot. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not tied to the clock. And sometimes the routines get jumbled. Like we don't necessarily, in a perfect world, yes, they're beautiful. They go block by block, and I can
Very
work through my day.
Pinterest, perfect, matching
And
photo.
everyone's happy and everyone's living in peace and ease, you know. But other times, like maybe I'll have to do that morning routine in the middle of the day because
Yeah,
that's when I have help and support.
yeah.
But I still get to go through that routine. And those routines are set up for me to take action on things that do fill my cup, that
Mhm.
keep me in alignment and that keep me in peace and get the work done and
Mhm.
release any um like guilt because I didn't get to something when I thought I was going to, as long as I still got to it. Um so it's a journey, and it's a two things to recognize there is that there's trial and adjustment. You do something, if it works for you, great. If you're struggling with it, if you have resistance to it, then it's probably not your thing. You need to adjust or tweak somewhere if there's a lot of resistance because God doesn't want like heaviness and hardship like for us, right? He
Mhm,
uses hardship to get us where he's trying to take us, but it's not something that he wants us to sit in forever.
mhm,
He says that his yoke is light. So the more we
mhm.
can pull into his alignment, the lighter it's going to be. And sometimes that takes some adjusting. The second thing to realize there is that there are seasons to life. I am finally out of a season where my kids need me as much, like, first thing in the morning. So, literally, I'd say in the last 6 months or so, I finally started, like, getting myself ready for my day.
Yeah.
I'm not spending my whole day in, a t-shirt and yoga pants anymore because that's not actually my style and aesthetic I like to maintain for the whole day. It doesn't give me energy.
Mhm,
Getting ready for my day fills my cup,
mhm.
and it helps me feel lighter and more productive. So, even if it comes to your wardrobe, right?
Yeah,
Getting yourself to this state of, okay, this is where I operate my best,
yeah,
makes everything feel lighter. It starts to trickle into the other areas. And there's going to be seasons where you just can't do that. And you
yes.
got to push through it, power through it, and just know that
It's temporary.
it's temporary, change is coming, and things
Mhm,
do continue to get lighter as
mhm.
you move through them and adjust as needed.
So in this, that sounds like just a beautiful way of flow. We have things to do each day, decisions to make around it, and the rest, like, let the rest fall where it will, right? So for example, making that decision to either take a business action or a family action or Netflix action. Last night, about 10 o'clock, in the Sacred 60, you do affirmations every day. And I've been combining some of the items because I can.
Yeah,
And so I was like, okay, well, I didn't do these two things and I want to go to bed. And then I'm like, oh, it'll just take a minute. So I planked. I put plank down as one of my items for health and maintenance. And I read the affirmations as I planked. And then I was like, boom, I got more things done, and it felt
perfect.
like a good decision because the alternative and the yesterday Mia would have just been like, I'll try harder tomorrow. But now, as a result of this, like 20 days in or something, I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. And then I don't have to carry what you were saying, that decision burden of having taken a detour to what I really want,
Hmm.
And that creates that energetic cleansing that allows your truer desire to show up more, to get stronger, and to lead you forward. And it's a really beautiful practice. And it does happen in the micro decisions of the day. And the bigger lessons that you're talking about around the softening and surrendering are like collateral results to those small decisions. And I'm going to maintain, at least I think I am now, going to maintain this habit tracker for the year because it anchors me.
Hmm.
It's my lighthouse. And it is, I don't know if it's necessarily a security blanket, but it just feels so good. And, just for the sake of the listeners, like some of the items in there are, I put journaling, watching a course. I mean, I've got God, courses to last multiple lifetimes, but they're meaningless if I don't go through them. And I love to learn. That's on there, and business work or business legacy. So it makes it very tangible. It makes it very easy to follow. And it's a system now that helps me guide myself and helps me with my decisions. Like I don't have to hold them all in my head and, think about which ones to do. I just go through the day and I kind of have the list memorized
Hmm.
now, execute on them, and then I tally up at the end of the day and it feeds me. And the results of this are going to come through like end of February, really see a momentum shift. June, really, feel the the analogy weight loss showing up in very much evolving myself intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we, how we create what seems like an overnight success, but it isn't. It's a result of all the work, the micro shifts that we're choosing with the grace to know that it's not perfect. It's completely not. Like, you know what? While you were talking, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to post a picture of like the chaos that is my beautiful family. Like we're not all in these matching outfits looking so cutesy.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're crazy and wild and adorable, but like that's where my heart bursts. And in the reality of the day, what I'm finding is I'm feeling less chaotic. I'm feeling more peaceful and I'm feeling more clear on what actions to take or just what Mia to be in order to grow closer to service, to God, to others, and to higher purpose, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this has been going on. I started in the online space in about 2020, and I feel like I'm finally figuring it out.
Yep.
Now, something else that you've said real quick before I hand it back is, you know, God knows, and God is also like, I picture up there laughing at us, just like, here's the hair elastic. Are you ready to put it on? It's right here. But I'm like, oh, where is it? What? I can't find it. Like, where do is it under here? Wait, no, it must be over here. I'm gonna go check in the other room. So this is where the paying attention, like he's steadfast, it's fine, but I think we are very amusing at times in our trying to do it ourselves and in our um distraction addiction in a way, of staying in that busy
Mm-hmm.
mode that we're missing what's right in front of us. And so it'll be like, here's the hair elastic. Are you ready for it today? Nope. Okay. I'll try again tomorrow. But tomorrow it's going to look like, maybe something else because the hair elastic didn't work. So, I mean, what's going to get your attention? And
Yeah.
if you're constantly running, you're going to miss those very obvious clues or indications. And at the beginning of a business, it's exciting, it's stimulating, it's energizing, but stay grounded so that
Mm-hmm.
you don't lose sight of whatever that little twinkle in your heart was that pursued you to move ahead in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And in that same vein, like I think what happens there and the reason that we get so caught up in the beginning, um, is one, there's so much information out there. You don't necessarily know who to listen to. And starting your business listening to God is going to be the best way
Yeah.
possible. But I also recognize, and I don't want to discount the fact that we get so excited because he's put this new adventure on our heart and we're like ready to give him the yes and dive in. But that excitement is so much louder than his voice. And we have a hard
Yes.
time getting quiet. And that's why we don't see that, like the elastic that you were using as an example. We may like ask, okay, God, what am I doing today? Or where are we going? But we don't sit still or quiet long enough to actually get the answer. So then we start pursuing all the other things, or we say, okay, I'm going to set this goal and I'm going to start running towards that and taking action towards that. And it's great if you hit that goal. Um, but at the same point, like, was that goal where God wanted you to go? Or
Mhm,
now are you over here in left
mhm,
field and he's got to find a way to say, I'm glad you hit
mhm,
that. Are you happy? Are you proud? Good. Like, let's not let that pride get in the way of where I'm
mhm.
actually trying to take you. God has such a sense of humor. I mean, he's got a little, like, for me, he's got a little feistiness. He's like, are you done yet? Like, he'll, he has no problem putting me in my place to make me like laugh about it. I'm like,
Yeah,
really? That's how God and I communicate.
yeah,
He's got just this little bit of an edge to him that says, listen,
yeah,
I'm gonna need you to wrap it up sometime. I'm over here when you're ready.
yeah,
Um, but it's hard. I'm not gonna discount the fact that it can be hard to sit down and be quiet and patient with God because he's so patient with us. right? He lets us go do all those things. Like he told me when I finally sat down and said, God, what do you want for my business? He's like, I just let you start there.
Mhm, mhm.
That's not where I was taking you, but
Yeah,
thank
same.
you for taking some action and
Mm,
starting.
yeah.
Now let's adjust. He gave us free will. He's going to let you have that free will. He's not going to take that from you. So it's up to you to be willing to say, I'm so excited about this. Now let me find some quiet. Like, don't lose your excitement, don't lose your fire, but be willing to put in the time it takes to be quiet and listen.
That is a sense of soul maturity that, the excitement jolt comes, but then you wanna absorb and let it vibrate without a sense of scarcity or urgency. It's more like, uh, an awakening that you now can march forward with this gift and with this understanding, and you have the rest of your life now to execute on it. Doesn't all have
Mhm.
to happen in a moment. And again, the sensationalism of an overnight success of, these big ticket months, etc. it- you come to what you come to over time and find peace and comfort that all of that energy will get used, will power
Mhm.
something, but not all in this very moment right now.
Yeah, and I think it's important to recognize too that when you're looking at someone who does seem like an overnight success, like maybe they started the same time as you and they're three times ahead, they're
Mhm,
making three times as much or whatever. You have to look at where they started as far as like their audience, their connections. Like sometimes, like everyone's on a different journey, like you said, right? And there's going to be some people that are starting in the same place as you, but they're starting with different resources.
yeah,
They're starting with a different set of pieces.
yeah,
And it's not up to us to compare ourselves to their journey, but to really just say, okay, like, God, I'm starting here.
mhm,
Where are we going? What are we doing with the pieces that you've given me? And
mhm.
how can we move forward? And I can trust that if this is the desire that you've placed in my heart, we're going to get there in your timeline. God's
Which
time
then,
is so different.
like, it keeps you from detours or from building something that you end up not wanting, right? Like,
Mhm.
you we have to learn our lessons and we grow through our experiences, but what I really encourage is almost maintaining, I'm going to use the word purity from the beginning. And one of my taglines is build it the right way, right away, you know? Yeah. And
Mhm.
so you're setting a foundation and you're setting a clarity. And yes, that will evolve, but um you're decluttering right at the onset so that you can, keep a closer connection, understanding of the greater purpose, and not avoid, but um, lead yourself a little bit better, like this whole learn from the mistakes of others type of thing at the beginning, because you guys, because I see a lot of people get started and get discouraged and fall off. And that's why startups are my absolute entire reason of existence, because if you have that dream, if you have that call, you're meant for it. And in holding a bit of this purity around it, it will give you the tenacity and endurance to see it through to
Mhm.
whatever scale. But it breaks my heart to think that you might not reach the potential that you're given in your lifetime because you got discouraged, distracted, deterred, and lonely and just folded. I mean, even in my time online, not very long, a lot of people that I started out with have drifted off and I don't know
Mhm.
what they're doing, where they're at because this. And the thing is, the calling, the sparkle doesn't go away, so it will either haunt you or come back in its due time when you finally clue in, "Oh, there's the hair elastic. Thanks. Got it." And yes, in the perfect timing and all of that, but, it's really, about giving yourself the opportunity and holding space to pursue that opportunity once the spark starts. And
Mhm,
and
mhm.
then kinda, yeah, keeping that path lit regardless of the other things that come along the way.
Yeah, yeah, and something that kind of dropped to me while you were talking was to bring up the fact that, you can't be scared of what people are going to think
Oh, yeah.
about what you're doing. Prime example, I went from a service-based business
Mhm,
into coaching.
mhm,
I'd say about 18 months in. 18 months in, I was like, "You know what? Bookkeeping, content creation, admin services." Um, God was calling me there, but he had put this other passion on my heart, and I didn't know why. And 18 months in, I created a second LLC.
mm,
I told all my clients, "Hey, I'm gonna be, wrapping up our contracts, and I'm going to do this."
mhm,
There was a brief moment of concern where I'm like, "What is my audience gonna think? I'm gonna confuse
yeah,
them so much because now I'm gonna be talking about this new thing that they are that's out of left field. When did Shayna start doing that? Am I gonna be considered flighty? Are they gonna see me as not, consistent or reliable? What is this gonna mean?" But there was just something in me that was like, "I really love this part of working with people. I love supporting them, being their sounding board, their cheerleader. What does this mean?" And God gave me that green light to he started to kind of drop some ideas and some thoughts on like, okay, this is like where you could take this. And he gave me the green light and I went all in. I'm like, cool.
yeah,
See all my clients. I'm gonna start talking about this thing now and kind of get over that concern. And come middle of last year, he's like, okay, now bring that back and put both of them together.
mhm,
This is just because you're doing one thing doesn't mean it's the wrong thing. There's lessons to be learned there. There's character to be built there.
mhm,
So the idea of stopping because you're discouraged or you're not seeing the success you want to see, like it's all they're just building blocks
building blocks, yeah,
to the bigger thing.
yeah,
Um, and sometimes, yeah, you've got to be willing to shift or pivot and let God handle the audience. Like, all right, you're gonna put in their heads what they need to see. You're gonna put in front of them what they need to see. You're not gonna let their thoughts and opinions interfere with me and what you've asked me to do because I've given you my yes to do it. And I'm gonna trust that it's all gonna make sense one day. So just keep going and it'll all make sense one day. Just
Okay, now I'm gonna sing Olaf from Frozen 2. This will all make sense when I'm older.
yes, that's exactly it.
Um, but what's really great about that story, Shayna, and you guys listen in, is you're practicing skills, and then you're shifting focus to practice other skills and then putting them together. And here's the baby analogy. Babies will practice the same thing for weeks at a time until they think they've mastered it. Then they move on to another skill that's either complementary or different. But if you watch them, really watch them and observe the patterns, they have a primary focus for a set amount of time. It's new, it's interesting, it's stimulating, and there's so many micro elements to that stage of development. And they can only hold so much capacity for knowledge and development at a time. Do you think that changes when we're fully formed adults? Uh, Spoiler alert, it doesn't. We still learn, and to truly learn is to be in it until you've got a nice platform skill set solidified to stand on. Then you
Mhm.
can shift and develop another area, and then put them together. We're on a very, very comparable journey, and it's so
Mhm.
beautiful. It's affirming to hear that. It's, especially because some of these insights, like, they've been there, but they're actualizing in me, like, they're getting more clear and more solid and more confident as a result. The other thing that I would encourage is we're, like, so focused on ourselves and, um, take a look around. How many artists have recreated themselves? Like Madonna went and did that whole discotheque era. She's still standing. She's on tour right now. She's coming around, right? Justin Bieber has completely reinvented himself from the sweet little pop star artist to someone else, and lots of people throughout the world, and
Mhm.
lots of women entrepreneurs that I'm following are allowing the space to evolve themselves. So, as part of that, it's it's a natural progression. As you change, followers will come. They just will, because you're attracting it in a different frequency now. So you don't even have to worry about that. But if you resist it, then you're holding back and blocking, what's next for you. And that
Yeah.
is off path.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's still like that journey is never over.
Never.
Um, After I joined Girl Power Alliance, like a few months in, I joined for the leadership development, hearing like strengthening my relationship with God and all the things. And a few months in, he's like, okay, the business that you've been growing for the last 3 years is now going to be your side hustle. And it's going
Mhm.
to be so organic. I don't want you to talk about it. So like I
Mm.
know we've referenced it a lot here because it is part of my
Mhm.
journey, part of my growth in business. Um, but up to like right now, this season that I'm in, he's like, that's going to be your side hustle. GPA is going to be your full income, your
Yeah.
full time work. And even in the last month or two, he's brought new clients. He's brought opportunities for discovery calls. And I'm not even talking about it. It's people who knew me when I
Mhm.
was focused on that business and I was marketing that business, as well as referrals. And
Mhm.
people saying, hey, Shayna's really gifted in this. Let me connect you with her. What you can see if she's still doing it, what she's up to. Maybe she'll be able to help.
Mhm.
And I just trusted God with that. I'm like, okay, like you said, it's going to be organic. I literally don't post about it like anymore,
Mhm.
unless it's something that's like, hey, I'm going to need you to I want to teach you the new like time management pieces that
Mhm.
I'm implementing in my life. Let me share a bit
Mhm.
of my story in my life. That's about it. Everything else is focused on this new direction. And I do see how God is using my gifts of encouragement, my gifts of administration to still support my team there
Yeah.
and being able to encourage them and say, okay, let's get organized. Let's get you on a path that's going to feel good so you can grow this too.
Yeah.
So it's an ever evolving journey. And we have to be willing to let go of the fear, which is sometimes hard to do. Yeah, we're human.
Yeah. And go with the flow of what's
Yeah,
being shown at any
yeah.
given time, right? Instead of being attached to our perception of the outcome.
Hmm.
You're reversing it. Here I
Yep.
am. Where is this gonna go? Where is this gonna go? Where is this gonna go? Oh, that was the
Yeah.
wrong way. Where is this gonna go?
Yeah, it's like that excitement piece of, oh, I'm on this new journey or I'm starting this new business. Be excited for where is it going to go? Like be excited for the unknown. Don't
Yes.
be excited for the goal you want to set, but be excited
Yes.
for the unknown and then just
Yes.
keep moving. And that excitement will continue and it'll never fizzle because
That's
there's
right.
always going to be an unknown next.
Yes. Mic drop. I've got goosebumps. Who else? I've got goosebumps.
So good.
Amazing. Amazing. So Shayna, where can we follow you? Come find you on Facebook?
Yes, Facebook is my primary hub. I did just join LinkedIn, but that's like brand new. So if y'all want, if
Well,
you want to
great.
go
Let's
over
all
there,
go
you
there
can.
too and boost it.
But yes, I'm primarily on Facebook. You can just search for my name and you'll find me there. I've got a Facebook community of other Christian women that are ambitious, that are ready to get some accountability for their goals. So if you need some support in that regard, hop in there. But if we connect, I'm so excited to just support you. Know that that is my heart.
Mhm.
If you haven't learned that yet, I am an encourager and I will be there
Yeah,
to cheer you on and provide insight, perspective, all the things.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and a leader in the collaborapreneurship too. You know, something I'm really excited about and we'll be doing in February, which is today, is collaborative workshops and things like that, right? So a
Hmm.
real leader in linking arms and doing it together. It's absolutely beautiful. So I can't wait to share you. And this was such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so
It
much,
was.
and have a great rest of
Absolutely.
your day.